Despite its rushed development, Fallout New Vegas introduced many new features that Fallout 3 did not have. One of these is Hardcore mode. It added a needs system, made ammo and other items have weight, and prevented sleeping from healing the player. Now, what if you wanted to go back to Fallout 3, but have these features? That's what I'll be answering in this video. Can you beat Fallout 3 on Hardcore mode? The mod I'm using is FWE, or Fallout Wanderers Edition. It adds a whole lot of stuff, but the relevant ones for the challenge are the hardcore features. There is now a need to eat, drink, and sleep. Ammo and stim packs have weight. There are many different settings for the mod, and it's not default, but you can make it so beds don't heal, which I did. Now, let's get into the challenge. The game starts with us being born, but one of the features of FWE is that it has an alternate start option. We choose to wake up and are in a setup shack. It has a terminal at which we can set our statistics and stuff. We set our disposition, which is how much karma you start with. I'm going to be doing a good playthrough. You can choose how many special points you can get, and I just go with the default. I go with Strength 5, Perception 6, Endurance 7, Charisma 6, Intelligence 1, Agility 7, and Luck 8. For tag skills, I choose Lockpick, Repair, and Small Guns. You can choose how quickly skills advance, and I set it to the FWE recommended settings. Last thing is to set up history, which is cool. It's like the New Vegas alternate start mod. You can choose from these multiple backgrounds, and I chose Regulator. I go to sleep on the mattress in the shack, and we wake up outside the Regulator shack. We start with a laser pistol and a combat knife as weapons, and a Regulator duster for apparel. Before getting into it, I messed with the FWE settings. I then went into the shack and picked up whatever good loot I could find. I went into the settings to turn off radio and music volume, but it didn't actually work. As a regulator, we can collect fingers from evil people and turn them in for caps. I left the shack and killed a couple of dogs and a boar and leveled up to 2. I chose Lady Killer for my perk. One thing that is lame about the mod is that even with alternate backgrounds, the main quest is the same. We still have to go to search for our dad. Doesn't make any sense. I walked out into the wastes and killed some raiders and found dog meat. Finding him early is lucky. I get him to join my party and continue on. I find Big Town and get the quest to save their friends from the super mutants, but I'm not going to be doing that for a while. I chopped up the raiders outside Springville Elementary, but didn't go inside because I didn't have enough ammo, and I didn't want to take on all the raiders inside with melee weapons. I went to Moira to get her quest and then sold a bunch of stuff to her. After that, I talked to Moriarty to ask where Dad went. He wouldn't help us until we paid him, but he gave us a job to deal with some lady. Convinced her to hand over some caps and she ran off. Since she's in Springville, I decided to check out the sewers. I killed a bunch of ghouls in there and leveled up to 3, and took the Thief perk for more lockpicking skill. I got an armory key, and I thought it would work on this door, but it didn't. I left the sewer and went back to Megaton and deactivated the bomb. And now, we have a house to store our stuff. I also got a quest from Lucy West to deliver a letter. I then paid Moriarty, and he told me where Dad went. Then, I went back to the school and cleared out the raiders, and I realized I had a lot of radiation, so I drank a bunch of alcohol, which heals radiation like a stalker. It made my vision all blurry, so that was annoying to deal with while exploring the rest of the place. I killed the ants below the basement and leveled up to 4. I put a point into luck with intense training. I went in another ant cave, and there was a queen to kill. After that, I went into a hotel near the Super-Duper Mart that was filled with raiders. I got blown up by a mine so I can show the limb healing system in this mod. You can select a thing called Triage in your inventory, and then select a broken limb. You can then heal it with a stim pack and a medical brace, or surgical tools for your head. One of the raiders had a Chinese assault rifle, which is a good find. We get to the raider boss, and he is non-hostile. He doesn't have any voice acting, unfortunately, but he says he doesn't care that we killed all of his underlings. He actually offers us work. He wants us to deal with some Talon Company mercs, find his missing friends, and bring him turpentine. Forgot to ever come back and turn in any of these quests though. Maybe in another video. Back at Megaton, I remembered I have enough repair to fix the pipes, and then I can turn in all the scrap metal I've been hoarding for experience and caps. This leveled me up to 5, and I took Trackstar to regenerate AP more quickly. Fast traveled back to the hotel, and Brian Wilkes ran up to us, and we agreed to help him, but we'll do that later. This Talon Company captain came out and chased after him, and I killed him and took his really good armor. tried to go into a Talon Company warehouse, but there were just way too many of them, so I left. I then went into a little sewer and it was irradiated. I took Rad-X, but apparently you can get addicted to it now. Also, the radiation in FWE is set to go up way faster than in vanilla. I used alcohol to try to lower it, but it was so bad even outside that I couldn't run away without dying. So I turned the settings down to be like vanilla. I also turned off the drug visuals because the blurriness from the alcohol was getting to be really annoying. I went in some sewers again and killed a non-feral ghoul, and when I came out, I was right by a raider camp. They were difficult, but grenades were very useful in taking them down. By the Super-Duper Mart, I shot some raiders that were on the other side of the river, and crossed to loot their bodies. After I did, super mutants spawned on the other side of the river where I just came from, and I didn't have enough ammo to kill them, so I ran away. In Megaton, I put a silencer on a 10mm SMG. I went back to deal with the super mutants with my sniper rifle that I brought this time. I crossed a bridge with a ton of landmines, which gave me a bunch of experience and caps when I get around to selling them. I kept getting exploded because I couldn't see this one that was clipping through the ground. I went through the metro and found a laser rifle. I came out at Friendship Heights, where there were a bunch of raiders. Dogmeat ran right into their little compound and got killed, so I had to reload a save. This'll be a thing that happens pretty often. It's annoying how he just runs directly into harm's way while I'm trying to be tactical. My plasma pistol I was using broke mid-fight, so I switched to a sledgehammer and clobbered them. I leveled up to 6 and took Gunslinger. I decide it's time to finally go to the Super-Duper Mart. This was a great chance to try out the silenced 10mm SMG, and it worked out perfectly. When shooting one of the raiders, I hit a grenade and blew myself up. I found an M1 Garand, which is cool, but it's extremely loud, especially listening back to the footage with my headphones, so I don't use it that much. After clearing out the raiders, when you reach the back, more spawn in. I hacked the terminal to let out the Protectron, but he wasn't that much help. I killed him and loot all the goodies the place has, and return to Moira. Next, she wants us to get irradiated, so I just stand in the water by the atomic bomb for a little bit. We go back to her and she heals us, and wants us to go to the minefield next, but it's far away so we're not going there for a while. I fast travel over near Grey Ditch, and some Talon Company mercs attack me. I use VATS to shoot the grenade in one of their hands, and then finish them off with the laser pistol. Once I get to Grey Ditch, there are fire ants everywhere. I find the Grey Ditch library, but I knew I would be going to a library in the future for Moira, and I thought this was it, so I didn't go in. This is actually a different library added by a mod, and I come back to it later. I make this epic jump and then go into the metros again, which is like 50% of this game. After killing some raiders, I got to level 7 and took the Rad Resistance perk. I used up all my ammo fighting some more raiders, and had to pick up a switchblade off of one of their dead bodies and slice up the rest of them with it. One of them dropped a Scorpio machine pistol, which is pretty cool. I left the metro and went into a building full of super mutants and... Mario? After leaving another metro, I found a dead regulator with a notice for a bounty. I walked a little bit to a house and he was right in there. Cool, I guess. After that big detour, I go back to Grey Ditch to look for Brian's dad, and he's dead. I tell Brian, and then go down into the metro to find the source of the ants. I found Dr. Lesko, who accidentally gave the ants fire-breathing powers. He wants us to kill the ant nest guardians, but not the queen so he can continue his work and undo their fire-breathing mutation. We do it, and he gives us an injection that raises our strength. I then found a safe with naughty nightwear in it, and a raider demanded I hand it over. I said no and he attacked, but I killed him easily. I came out and helped the Brotherhood kill some super mutants and leveled up to 8. I got repair up to 100 and chose the commando perk. I went into another Mirelurk cave and ran out of bullets again and had to switchblade them, but I couldn't beat them so I had to leave. I came back and finished them off with a laser pistol. Back outside I saw a Wanamingo and killed it with the M1 Garand. That's one of the reasons I like Mars Mutant mod so much. I love Wanamingos. There's no good Wanamingo mod for New Vegas. Anyway, the meat that it dropped is very good. It is 3 HP for a minute, which amounts to 180 HP. My stim packs only heal 6 for 6 seconds. I also saw my first Deathclaw. This Wastelander actually took out a Deathclaw all on his own. Deathclaws are so weak in Fallout 3 compared to New Vegas. I played NV first, and when I encountered a Deathclaw for the first time in Fallout 3, I was super underwhelmed. After wandering, I arrived in Canterbury Commons and saw the Mechanist and the Antagonizer doing their little fight. The Antagonizer won, but they both ran off. Uncle Ro wants us to convince them to leave because they're causing problems. But first, I go to Vault 108, which is nearby. I cleared it out of Gary's and found a masked combat helmet Mark II to wear. I went back to Megaton, and Moira had an auto-fire mechanism weapon mod for sale, and I put it on my laser rifle to make a laser assault rifle. After that, I went to the antagonizer's lair, which had a lot of mines everywhere. I met her and convinced her to stop and let her go. Next, we have to talk to the Mechanist, and his robots guard the way. After defeating them, we convince him to leave. Since we dealt with him, Uncle Fishegg gave us our reward, and we leveled up to 9, taking the Olympian perk, which is like Trackstar but twice as good. I killed some cannibals, and one of them had a Desert Eagle, which is sweet. I added a scope to my laser pistol and decided to continue with the main quest, so I started to go to GNR. I met with Sentinel Lions and helped her take out mutants. I picked up the Fat Man and used it against the super mutant behemoth and then drop it. I have no space for it. I just used it because I didn't want to waste a bunch of ammo. I don't know if I even would have had enough on me. I went in the building and talked to Three Dog, and he won't tell us where Dad is until we install a satellite dish for him. The satellite is in the Museum of Technology, and we have to install it on the Washington Monument. I went through the sewers and exited the mall, and instead of heading to the Museum of Technology, I went to the Lincoln Memorial. It was occupied by slavers, and they wouldn't let me leave, so I killed all of them. I dropped a bottle, and it bounced off dog meat. I fought a super mutant behemoth at the mall, and I almost killed him, but he killed dog meat and I had to reload. I had to refight some mutants, but the behemoths didn't spawn in this time. While advancing towards the capital, some Talon companies showed up to fight the mutants, and they turned to fight me. I killed them and reached the building and got to level 10 and put lockpick to 100. I also took strong back. Inside are more Talon mercs and mutants. One of the mercs had a Fat Man, and I took it and used it against a super mutant behemoth. After leaving the capital, I went back into the tunnels and found a bunch of raiders who killed some ghouls. I didn't have much ammunition, so I had to switch weapons while fighting them, but I couldn't pull it out because they kept stun locking me. What I did was get their attention and then run back and let Dogmeat run in, then advance back and shoot them while they were occupied with him. I ran out of ammo, but I finished off the last guy with a sledgehammer. Came out at DuPont Circle and they kept killing me in Dogmeat, so I fast traveled back to Megaton. I healed and went back to DuPont, where I had to take cover often and wait and heal up. When I killed the raiders, I leveled up to 11 and took the Scrounger perk. I then decided to go explore Underworld. I tried to kill this guy because he asked me to murder someone and also has a slave, but it made the other ghouls hostile, so I reloaded a save. I decided to try out the Chinese pistol Silenced and went to the Museum of Technology. I forgot what I was doing in there for a little bit, but then I remembered to grab the satellite. I then went into a building called Capital Research. It had a bunch of mines and also a gas leak, so I threw a grenade to clear it. At the end of the dungeon, you come out into a room outside that overlooks the mall. Some super mutants and a behemoth spawn, and you can pick up a Fat Man to shoot mini nukes down at them. I went back in and more guys spawned, and they kept blowing me up with missile launchers. So I backed up into the hall and waited for the mutants to funnel through the door and shot them. There were so many enemies that I tried to kill. After I left, I went to the Washington Monument and I had a little bit of problems with the elevator, but I got it to work and installed the dish. I then fast traveled to the Regulator's shack. The mutant followed me in, and Sonora ran out of the building. When she stopped fleeing, I turned in 224 fingers. Then I went to the Moresty station and talked to the family. I was able to tell the guard I have a letter for Ian West, even though I haven't been to Arefu yet and my character wouldn't know he's there. I guess that's just an oversight. I went back to Underworld to try to kill the evil ghoul again with my silent pistol, but it still turned everyone hostile, so I left. My quest marker updated to send me to Arefu, so I went there, and on the way, Victoria Watch showed up and asked me to tell a guy in Rivet City that an android is dead. I got into town and talked to Evan King, and he told me to check on everyone in town. There are 3 houses, and the first 2 were fine. But when I got to the third one, the parents were dead and the son was missing. Evan sends us to go talk to the family, and the son, Ian, is hanging out with them. Turns out he's a cannibal and he killed his own parents. I persuaded him to go back home, and then left the tunnel and went into the train yard. I jumped from the cliff onto the top of this train car to open this chest. I went over to this church that was infested with super mutants, and I blew myself up shooting a grenade in one of their hands. And then I blew myself up with a plasma grenade. Then I tried again and took cover, but it blew me up through the cover. On my third try, I backed up after throwing it, and it took out the mutants and not me. I went back to Arefu and finished the quest by talking to Evan, and then delivered the letter to Ian. Now I get back to Wasteland Survival Guide and head to Minefield. I snipe Arkansas before he can blow me up with mines, and then reach the playground. I go back to Moira and give her a mine. She then wants us to try out her repellent stick on 10 mole rats. I leveled up to 13 and put small guns to 100 and took the second rank of Strong Back. I came out the sewers and found myself in a 3-way battle between Talon Company and Super Mutants. I took cover after I got damaged and healed up with the Wanamingo meat. I shot a Talon Merc and he spaghettied out and it threw a car into the air. After returning to Moira, she asked us to plant a device in a Mirelurk egg sack without hurting any of them, so I tell Dogmeat to wait outside our house. They're an Anchorage memorial, so I go there and ran around getting snipped up and using stim packs to get through. I planted the device and went back to Moira. She wants us to cripple ourselves, and I tried taking fall damage, but that wasn't working, so I shot at a mine, and that worked. The next thing we're going to do for Moira is visit the Arlington Library, but I'm going to switch to Big Trouble in Big Town first. I go to the Germantown police station and save Red and Shorty, but I ran out of recording space so that part got cut off. It's okay, not much interesting happened, just killing more super mutants and returning them to Big Town. I start making my way to the library, and I found some Brotherhood guys who said their friend was captured by super mutants too. I killed them and saved them. I stopped by Megaton and went back to my home, and the Brotherhood spawned in there. This actually keeps happening when I go back to my home throughout the playthrough. Upon fast traveling to Marigold, some Talon Company mercs attack us, and they keep crippling and killing me. I use a bunch of chems, including a tribal medicine that lets you ignore the effects of crippled limbs temporarily. I might not have needed to use the chems if I had Dogmeat, but I forgot him back at Megaton. I went to the Greatest Library as a detour before I forgot. There was a bunch of scorpion spam in there, but they had trouble climbing upstairs, so I was able to avoid them pretty well. But there was a giant boss scorpion called Molly. I killed her, but she got me with her stinger and the poison did me in. When I retried, I planted some mines for her to run over. I then ran back, and when I went back by her, she snipped me with her claws instead of using the stinger, so I was able to kill her without getting stung. There were also some Beast Lords that I took care of. I went back to Megaton and picked up Dogmeat and decided to take on the Talon Company in the warehouse that I skipped earlier. Dogmeat kept getting killed in the building, so I left him outside and went in and used a ton of chems, and it made me into a god. I tried out the laser pistol with a full auto mod and went to fight some super mutants, and some Brotherhood outcasts kept walking in front of me and becoming hostile. I reloaded and made my way with them to the Operation Anchorage area, but left and didn't do the DLC. I went back to Megaton to get out the Desert Eagle and see how much it would cost to repair it, and it was only 96 caps. I took only it with me and found a bunch of super mutants, including a behemoth and a gargantuan. I killed the behemoth, but I ran out of ammo for the gargantuan, and had to pick up other weapons from dead super mutants, but Dogmeat kept engaging the enemy and got killed. So I reloaded a save and loaded up on more weapons, and when I went back to try again, the behemoth and gargantuan didn't spawn in this time. So I just took out the mutants with my sniper rifle. I bought a workbench for my house so that I wouldn't have to go to Moira's every time I wanted to mod a weapon, but I didn't use it very much. I arrived at Arlington Library and the Brotherhood is there. The scribe says they are willing to collect intact pre-war books, and she will pay 100 caps per book given to her. I've been collecting them and gathered 14 so far, and turned them into her. There were also raiders inside, which we helped the Brotherhood wipe out. We leveled up to 15 and took the Adamantium Skeleton perk. I got the information needed for Moira and also picked up an ink container for later. Next for Moira, we're going to the old Robco facility. So I go and explore the southwestern portion of the map. I come across Andale and talk to the residents. It seems like something suspicious was going on, so I waited until night and lockpicked the shed and found out they are cannibals. They confronted me and I lied and said I eat people too, so they started to walk away. And that's when I unloaded into them. I went to the Robco factory, but I didn't have the science skill to hack the terminal, which is the optional objective for the quest. So I left and headed to Rivet City for now. When I got there, I talked to Vera and she agreed to take Brian in. I visited the guard tower and they became hostile for some reason, so I just reloaded a save from before going in. Instead, I went and talked to Abraham Washington about getting the Declaration of Independence, and then to Dr. Lee. I also talked to Zimmer while I was there. I took a detour up to the north to the Temple of the Union to start the quest there. We have to go to the History Museum to get a picture of the Lincoln Memorial so that escaped slaves can restore it to its former glory, and inhabit it as a shining beacon of freedom for all slaves across the Wasteland. We pick up the poster, and since I was in the neighborhood, I went over to the National Archives. That's where the Declaration of Independence is, and we find Sydney there, who offers to help us. She can open up a shortcut for us, but I decide to clear out the place anyway. I level up to 16 and get the Action Boy perk. The robot Button Gwinnett is guarding the Declaration. He suggests we fool Abraham Washington with a forgery, and it's a good thing we got that inked earlier, because this is what it's for. He prints out the copy, and we take it back to Abraham, finishing the quest. Back at the Temple of the Union, I gave Caleb the poster, and now they all start to migrate to the Lincoln Memorial. While waiting for them, I went to the Jefferson Memorial to find out where Dad went. A holotape told us he went to Vault 112. This is where you go into the Tranquility Lane segment, but I got a mod to skip it. It's called Emergency Exit, Skip Tranquility Lane, and it's by IMGbox. It adds a terminal that lets you end the simulation immediately and get Dad out, but it took me forever to find it. Turns out it's locked in a room we can't get into. And I thought it was this one room that had a hard-locked terminal, so I left to go get my science up. For now, I went back to the mall and completed the Head of State quest because I already cleared out the slavers earlier. Then I went back to the Robco facility to hack the average terminal, because I had the chems to boost my science skill up to 50. After that, Moira wants us to find out the history of Rivet City. I went below deck to talk to Pinkerton, but he wouldn't tell me the history. So I talked to Bannon and Belle Bonnie, and then he would tell me. Returning to Moira, we finally complete Wasteland Survival Guide. I was running out of recording space, so I went back to Vault 112 and used TCL to get into the German guy's room. I picked up the password for the Overseer's room, which let me activate this terminal and conduct the override sequence. So effectively, in order to skip Tranquility Lane with this mod, you need a 75 science skill. I think that's dumb. It doesn't say anything about that on the mod page. So you can call this cheating if you want, but it's just to skip a boring sequence that adds nothing to the playthrough. So I think it's justified. I picked up Dad and took him back to Dr. Lee, and they decide to go back to the Jefferson Memorial. He wants to restart a project to create a purifier to make the water in the Potomac drinkable. After doing some boring stuff, the Enclave arrived and Dad sacrificed himself. I killed the ghouls in the tunnels and leveled up to 17, taking the Better Criticals perk. Dr. Lee threatened the Brotherhood with a sledgehammer, and we entered the Citadel. We have to find a Gek to use the water purifier before the Enclave does. It is located in Vault 87, which is extremely irradiated. It's impossible to get in through the entrance, so we must go through the Lamplight Caverns. There are super mutants set up in Murder Pass, and we had to wipe them out before getting into the vault. Inside, I free Fox, and he gets us the Gek from the irradiated part of the vault. Then, the Enclave takes us captive and confiscates the Gek, and we level up to 18 and get the second rank of Finesse. I got lost wandering around Raven Rock, and then tried to convince the President to kill himself, but couldn't figure out how to do it. So I took the FEV vial and left. I got Fox as a companion and went back to the Citadel. Lions gave us our very own suit of power armor, but before finishing up the main quest, there's a bit more I want to do. The last quest I actually finish before going to finish the game is the Nuka-Cola Challenge. It's easy since I've been saving up Nuka-Cola Quantums throughout the whole playthrough, and I have 34. I hand them over to Sierra and complete the quest. Now, to end off the game. The Enclave has taken control of the Purifier, and we need to go liberate it before they do something bad with it, and the Gek. Brotherhood deploys Liberty Prime to destroy the barricades set up by the Enclave, and we follow him, helping mop up any troops on the way. Once inside the memorial, I smoke the remaining troopers with my FAL and take down Colonel Autumn. The Purifier was damaged during the fight, and must be turned on to prevent it from exploding. Thing is, that will release a lethal dose of radiation. Luckily, we have Fox with us, who is immune to radiation. He releases the pressure and saves the day, and we beat Fallout 3 on hardcore mode. Thank you for watching. Would I recommend this challenge? If you are going to play Fallout 3, then yes, I'd say this is my favorite way to play it. If you want to see more content like this, I have a playlist of all my New Vegas challenges. I also plan on making more Fallout 3 challenge videos, so subscribe for those too.